What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Of course, the global anniversary is in full swing with the official Sugafest kicking off tomorrow. Starting with part 1 of the Sugafest, I've already made a video talking about all of the upcoming events that you guys should be taking note of. And when this Sugafest goes live, we will be doing some multis over on the Twitch channel, so make sure to mark it down in your calendars. We are going to be live. We're going to do some polls, we're going to be checking out some stuff, so hopefully it all goes over well. Anyways, we're going to be talking about the actual Sugafest itself, the Sugafest that some people out there are going to be pulling for. Kind of want to preface the video by saying that there are no Super Sugafest characters on this Sugafest. So keep that in mind, because I know some people really want to go for those units, and well, they are some of the best units in the game, mind you. So I can completely understand if people want to skip the Sugafest and wait for May 12th for the official anniversary Sugafest. However, you gotta remember that is a little bit away, so you could, use some gems here, spend a couple gems on some multis here, and then conserve from there on out, because this is still a pretty good Sugafest and a really good opportunity to get your hands on some of those anniversary exclusive characters. Hancock Nami Robin, K-Dad, or the Dex Ashura Zoro. Of course, and the new Ace and Luffy characters. While they are a bit divisive to a lot of people in the community, you gotta respect the fact that these units are actually still pretty good, right? So anyways, let's just jump into it. Let's talk about this Sugafest. Let's talk about all the parts first in terms of the steps. We'll get into the actual units that are pullable in a moment, but obviously part 1 is a lot different to parts 2 and part 3. So for part 1, you get a lot of these steps. I mean, part 2 and part 3 also have a lot of these steps that are just generic Sugafest exclusive or rate boosted character. So, you can't really expect too much off of these. However, we have, for part 1, you've got 4, 18, 23, and 28. Just a regular guaranteed legend. So it could be literally anything. You got 8, 12, and 20, which gets you a limited pool legend. But the big one here on part 1, you've got all wanted posters, 50% chance to get a legend. That's actually really cool. That's what I'll be gunning for. My hope is to do 10 on part 1. Hopefully pull one of them in the first 10, and then just wait for the other part for the other unit. Ideally, that's the best situation to be in, but we'll see what happens. The 15th and the 25th gets you a super limited legend, and the 30th only guarantees you an anniversary character, which means it can be one of the 2 new units. It could be the waifu, it could be K-Dad, or it could be Zoro. And of course, the more characters that eventually release, the worse and worse these steps actually become. So when we get to part 2 and 3, now these parts are the exact same as each other, but still a lot different from part 1, so you have a lot of these generic steps, but then you have a lot more guaranteed legend steps here, 3, 7, 13, 16, 24, and 28. The 10th and 20th gets you a limited pool, and the 30th pool gets you the new guaranteed unit, either Ace or Luffy, depending on what part you want to pull on. So obviously, the steps do look more enticing on part 1, but obviously, with none of the 2 units being guaranteed, makes it less desirable overall. So when we jump into the characters that are pullable, when you look at the legends on part 1, there's 30 available legends. So there's 30 available legends, and look, it's a lot when you compare it to parts 2 and 3, which only have 25. So the chance for each individual character to actually drop is much lower, and I believe the 2 debut units typically will have lower rates as well on part 1, so you do have to keep that in mind. So these units are more harder to pull on part 1, but if you do pull them, it makes choosing between parts 2 and 3 a lot more simple, that's for sure. So if we just have a look at part 1, what's actually pullable? You've got the Zoro that came out last year, K-Dad, and the waifus. All anniversary units are pullable on part 1, so that's obviously a big draw. You got Super Tandem Sengoku, which isn't amazing. He's fine. A lot of fun to use, but not desirable, especially for newer players. The Zoro and Sanji dual unit, this unit is fine. They're acceptable. Marco, obviously very good for EXP farming. Frankie Tanky, V2 Odin, really solid in Empire Rumble. And you got the old school Kinemon Denjiro, really good. Both cat and dog, also very good. Nami and Usopp, not great. Robin Jinbei, very good crewmate. The Sai Straw Hats, they're okay. Zoro, fine. Wano Law, fine. Potentially could get a good Super Evolution, hopefully sometime this year. With the Super Evolution and Level Limit Break, Wano Law could be legitimately one of the best legends in the game. They got the Cyboa Hancock, Snake Man, but then you get, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. You got some characters that do have Level Limit Break, but even with Level Limit Break, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, Carrot doesn't have one yet. Carrot could be very good. Garp's actually usable for sure. And then, obviously, Sabo just got one recently as well. And Shanks very good. Sengoku, Doflamingo. The rest of these units, it's kind of whatever. But obviously, the big draw of the characters near the top. Both Cat and Dog, if you don't have them, very, very good. Robin, Jinbei, Odin, Marco, all the anniversary units. They're pretty good. Then you get to the limited pool step. So limited pool is 8, 12, and 20, okay? So keep that in mind. You get one of these units guaranteed. And a lot of these units are characters you want to have. But if you are a player that's been playing the game for quite a while, you likely have some array of these units already sitting in your account. So getting multiple dupes of these units is not always amazing because you want to get a bit more variety, but it is dependent on where you are in the game, right? Now you've got the super limited step, which is the 15th and the 25th. It's a 1 in 8 shot, but of course these units likely have a less chance to pull. So it seems reasonable, honestly. So it is a bit of a shame that they cut out the anniversary units. Obviously you have the waifus, but they cut out K-Dad and they cut out the Zoro, which is a bit of a shame on the super limited step. But then you have the anniversary only character step, which is, the 5 characters that are here. So I think the 10th multi is obviously very enticing, but then if you go to 15, you get, again, another really good shot to get one of the units. So it is up to your discretion on whether or not you want to pull here. It is a really risky part to pull for, but it could potentially pay dividends. We'll have to wait and see. Part 2 and 3 obviously are the same as each other, so this one is more about, which pool of units is the best. So you've got Part 2 with featuring Ace, you have Super 10 and Big Mom, which is interesting addition, very good with versus Kaido, and you've got K-Dad featured on this part of the Sugo Fest, interesting. So just briefly looking at this, the waifus are not featured on Parts 2 and 3 at all. They are only pullable on Part 1, so keep that in mind. You've got Hiyori, which is a nice one. Super Tandem Law is really good. I would argue that Super Tandem Law is like the same level as like a Super Sugo Fest exclusive. If you have Law, he is a massive addition, especially if you've got him at Super Tandem level 5. Just such a good character. The characters just reappearing from Part 1. Halloween Hancock is kind of interesting. Very good for Grand Voyage versus the Buggy fight, the Strength Buggy fight. Ulti Page 1, not that great. Kaido, good in Pirate Rumble. Magellan, usable in Pirate Rumble as well. Smoker could receive a Super Evolution this year. Sabo does have one. Kiori and Pudding both have the level limit break recently. Same with Sabo and also Capone. Zephyr doesn't have a Super Evolution yet, but could get one sometime this year. Would be awesome to see that. Rayleigh, Cavendish, Kizaru, really odd character array near the bottom. This doesn't look enticing. Like, obviously Ace is good, K-Dad is really nice to have, Law's nice, Hiyori's nice, but after that first row, like, it's hard to really pick out good units here, to be honest. You got the limited pool, which is after the 10th and 20th, so it's pretty steep. But you got a good array. Like these are the best units of the banner are pullable on the 10th and 20th step, so I guess that kind of makes sense. Taking a look at Part 3 though, you have the Luffy and the Zoro, makes sense that these two are together. Core and Law, Sanji, Zoro, Kid's still very, very solid, good captain ability. Brook, again, very good for that versus Buggy Grand Voyage. Kinemon Denjiro, Robin, Jinbei, obviously very good. Halloween, Perona. You got Summer Vivi, Bonnie, Ace versus Akainu, still a very good unit. Don't disrespect him, they're still really good. Bullet's featured here too, which is kind of cool. Nami with the recent level limit break. And then of course you got some other characters near the bottom. And then the 10th and 20th step gets you one of these units guaranteed. To be honest, the way that I see this, Part 2 definitely looks better in terms of just the limited pool steps, right? It is obviously dependent on what characters you do or do not have on your account, but from my opinion, Part 2 looks better overall, just judging from the limited pool step here. Then in terms of the rare recruits that are pullable, It's a pretty good array. Like there's a couple of good ones here for sure. Like this Robin is fantastic, also very good for Grand Voyage versus Buggy, talking a lot about them in this video. Beppo's very good, Cruzan's solid, the Sanji's a very nice addition, Shanks isn't great, the two new ones obviously great, good supports, good specials, really nice to have. Rockstar is still a good rare recruit, this Zora is still very good, the Riser has a good support, and this Ashura Doji is a very usable character for sure. So the rare recruits boosted are actually okay. So it is up to you at the end of the day. I think part 2 does look the best in terms of if you want to just go for Ace. I think it's not a bad part to pull on. It is dependent on what you're missing. If you already have most of the characters here, I probably would advise you to skip. Part 1 of the Sugofest is the risky part, but the steps are better. So it is up to your discretion. But remember, all the anniversary units are available here, and Hancock Nami Robin are only pullable on this part. So take that as you will. Part 3, I just don't see too much here that really screams out like, yeah, you know, you gotta have this unit. Ace versus Kano, obviously very, very good. Halloween Ace is a nice unit to have too. Korra Law, very, very intriguing unit, but they don't really see that much play. Robin Jinbei is still super solid, and even it's the fact that Zora, right? Like Zora, out of all the anniversary legends, like he's the character that I would probably use the least. Yes, still very good in super bosses if you can build around him, but like outside of that, he's kind of clunky and he doesn't really work very well. But of course, because you're utilizing Wano slots so much in super boss events, like Zora just kind of works there, right? And the fact that his classes are so good and synergize well with other super boss related units like Super Tandem Luffy or versus Yamato, he does find a place in those teams. But outside of that, he just really lacks usage, to be honest. So there's really not a lot here that I can really say is like, yeah, this is 100% the Sugofest you have to pull for. The lack of Super Sugofest exclusives really brings down the importance of this banner, in my opinion. So I would advise to probably skip this banner overall, but at the end of the day, it's up to your discretion on whether or not you want to pull here. I would advise, if you have the gems to do it, to probably go to the 10th multi of part 1 and probably call it a day, just because of the amount of red posters that you should be getting along the way is pretty significant, and all the anniversary units are kind of here. But I mean, outside of that, it's too risky to kind of invest in this banner when we know the anniversary is going to be so massive, right? So it is up to your opinion at the end of the day. But that's just my opinions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, giving you guys a bit of a breakdown of what you should be expecting for this banner. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.